Hey everyone, and welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's explainer, implementing a Switchboard consumer in a Solana program. If you've ever wondered how smart contracts actually read and trust real-world data without, well, getting completely tricked, you are definitely in the right place. To make sense of this highly technical process, I want you to imagine your Solana program as this exclusive, high-end VIP data club. Now, today we aren't building the club and we aren't inviting the guests. Today, we're hiring a strict, uncompromising bouncer to stand right at the front door. Our bouncer is the on-chain data consumer, and their whole job is to keep the bad data out. But before we put our bouncer on the clock, let's get our bearings. In our previous lesson, we explored Ethereum's ERC-4337, and we really dove deep into the components and roles of account abstraction. It was a fascinating look at how Ethereum manages user operations. But today we're smoothly pivoting our focus over to Solana. We're jumping headfirst into Solana's high-speed, on-chain data infrastructure. So instead of abstracting accounts, we're dealing with lightning-fast data feeds and the exact mechanisms required to safely ingest them using Switchboard. Okay, here's our blueprint for this explainer. 1. Meet your data bouncer. 2. Mapping the core accounts. 3. Building the consumer program. 4. Running the local fire drill. And 5. Rules for reliable consumers. Let's dive in. Starting off with Section 1, Meet Your Data Bouncer, the Switchboard Consumer. So, let's go back to that nightclub analogy. Your Solana program is the club, the off-chain data feed is a VIP guest, and the Switchboard Consumer is the bouncer. Technically speaking, a Switchboard Consumer is a module that reads Oracle accounts, validates data end-to-end, and applies it to your on-chain logic. Just like a real bouncer checks a physical ID, looks for the hologram, and confirms the age before unhooking that velvet rope, our consumer program verifies the incoming data against a very strict set of rules before letting it impact the club's internal state. If the data doesn't meet the normalized spec, like the update cadence, the target units, or the confidence band, well, the bouncer turns it away. No exceptions. All right, moving to Section 2, Mapping the core accounts for our integration contract. Whenever we build an anchor instruction for this, we actually need to pass in 3 vital accounts. Let's walk through them. First up is the aggregator account. This is a read-only Switchboard account holding the feed state. In our analogy, this is the VIP's ID card. Next, we've got the consumer state. This is a program-owned account that stores our decision output, and it's read and write capable. You could think of this as the club's entry log or guest list, where the bouncer literally checks off that you've entered. Finally, the authority account. This is the signer initiating the instruction, providing access control. Essentially, this is the club owner giving the bouncer the green light to actually start the shift. Now, let's zoom in on that VIP ID card for a second. The aggregator account is treated as a read-only byte source on Solana. It holds the vital feed state, but specifically, we're really looking for 2 things here, the latest answer and the latest confidence. Because it's just a source of raw bytes, we can't just read it like a plain textbook. It has to be carefully deserialized to extract the exact numerical value of the feed and the Oracle's confidence rating in that value. Which brings us nicely to Section 3, Building the Consumer Program, where we actually write the code. So here is the mechanical, step-by-step process of building the consumer module instruction handler. First, you scaffold the anchor program using the CLI. Pretty standard. Second, you add your Switchboard-related dependencies and feature flags to your cargo.toml file. Third, and honestly, this is where the magic happens, you deserialize the aggregator data. You read those raw bytes and extract the latest answer and latest confidence. Fourth, you validate those exact values against your acceptable thresholds. And fifth, if everything looks good, you toggle your consumer state, like flipping an isActive boolean to true. Now, listen closely, because here is a rule you break at your own peril. Keep your compute low by using fixed-point integers. Never use floats. Seriously, floating-point conversions in Solana smart contracts are incredibly expensive in terms of compute costs, and they introduce some really nasty precision surprises. Always stick to integer arithmetic on fixed-point representations. It keeps your program lean, fast, and mathematically predictable. Which brings us to a really fun question. What happens if your program reads a fake ID? Like, what if the data feed is corrupted, highly volatile, or just flat out bad? Well, if your bouncer is doing their job right, they don't just glance at the ID, they scrutinize it. In your code, you absolutely must strictly check the latest confidence against predefined acceptable thresholds using the require macro in Anchor. If the confidence number is too high, meaning the Oracle is very uncertain about the price, the require macro will intentionally fail the transaction. It effectively tosses that bad data right out onto the street. Okay, moving to Section 4, running the local fire drill,
also known as our local integration tests. You know, in our other Forge College programs, we always emphasize the importance of rigorous testing. We have to test our bouncers locally before unleashing them onto the chaotic mainnet strip. To do this, we use the anchor testing harness alongside a local Solana validator. We literally create a mock aggregator account right on our local machine. Then we manually write simulated feed bytes into it, an encoded latest answer and latest confidence. Next, we invoke our apply feed instruction. Finally, we assert that the state changes deterministically. By doing this whole process, we simulate a full feed update without risking a single drop of mainnet resources or causing any unintended side effects. Oh, and I want to save you hours of head scratching with a quick debugging tip. When you're writing these local integration tests, make absolutely sure you allocate enough space for your mock aggregator account. If your mock account isn't big enough to hold the simulated data, your program will hit runtime panics on slice indexing during the deserialization step. It's a simple byte layout mismatch, but trust me, it's one of the most common failure points for developers new to this architecture. All right, bringing it home with Section 5, Rules for Reliable Consumers. Let's look at the core takeaways.
These are your 3 golden rules for reliable consumers. Rule number 1, validate inputs on-chain. Only accept feed values that meet your strict confidence bands and cadence requirements. Rule number 2, minimize on-chain parsing. You really only want to deserialize the exact fields you need, and remember, use fixed-point arithmetic to save compute. And rule number 3, verify behavior with local validator integration tests. Iterate quickly and safely before you deploy. If you follow these 3 rules, your Solana program will remain secure, efficient, and well-tested.
So let me leave you with this provocative thought. Are you ready to tackle multi-source aggregation and harden your consumer against stale data? Because once you have a single bouncer working perfectly, the next logical step is hiring a whole security team to cross-reference multiple data sources all at once. It's an incredibly exciting next step. To dive into that and to really master this subject and other fascinating Web3 topics, I highly encourage you to visit forge.college. There is a whole world of structured learning waiting for you right there. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.